So now we'll start chapter 8 of class 12 chemistry, and this chapter's name is the D and F block elements. We had discussed in detail about p block elements, and we had seen that the elements in which the valence electron were entering into the p orbital, or the valence shell in which the p orbital was the orbital in which the outermost electrons were there, were called as p block elements. Similarly, D and F block elements are or can be defined as the elements whose valence electron enter into n-1 d orbital. Now, what is the meaning of n-d orbital? Let us take the example of the periodic table ones. We know that the S block elements contain group 1 and group 2. In group 1 and group 2, the elements which are there are hydrogen, lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium, cesium, francium, and here magnesium, calcium, strontium, barium, and radium. After that, this was period 1, this was period 2, this was period 3, this was period 4, period 5, period 6, and period 7. From period 4 onwards, say if it is atomic number 20, the next element is scandium. Sc, Ti, V, Cr, Mn, iron, cobalt, nickel, copper, and zinc. So this was group 1, group 2. This is group 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Then again p block elements started, in which this was group 13. This started from boron, aluminium, and so on. Gallium, iridium, thallium. Then group 14, carbon, silicon, germanium, tin, lead. Then this we just studied 15, nitrogen, phosphorus, arsenic, antimony, bismuth. Then 16, oxygen, sulfur, selenium, tellurium, polonium. Then 17, fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine, and acetylene. And at last, group 18 starts with helium, neon, argon, krypton, xenon, and radon. Very recently, we completed our study of these elements. This we have done in class 11. Now we will study the properties of these elements. These are D block elements. Because they have an electronic configuration like this. First canadium, the nearest noble gas is argon 18, or we can write like this also, 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p6, 4s2, and this becomes 10, 20 and 3d1. So scandium 21 is 3d1 4s2. Similarly, titanium will be 3d2 4s2. Up to this we can write argon. And this we can write as 3d1 4s2. Then 3d2 4s2. Then similarly for vanadium it will be argon 3d 3 4s2. So what we are seeing here, we are seeing that the value of N is here 4 and the value of the valence shell principal quantum number is N minus 1 equal to 3. So here electron or valence electron enters into N minus 1 d orbital. So general electronic configuration will be 3d 1 to 10 4s 1 to 2. Sometimes half filled is taken to make it full filled. So this is general electronic configuration, or in this case instead of 3 we can write N minus 1 and instead of 4 we can write N. So period 4 from here we call it as first transition series. Below scandium, ytterbium is there, that is second transition series. Now D block elements are also called as transition elements. They are also called as transition elements. Now why D block elements are also called as transition elements? Because in D block elements the d orbitals are partially filled and the electrons can go from one energy level to the another energy level. This transition of electron from one energy level to the another energy level is called as d-d transition. Now you will say that if all the d orbitals are in the same energy level, then why should we call it as movement of electron from one energy level to the another energy level? See, depending upon the orientation of d orbitals, they are split into two parts. The dxy, dyz, dzx makes a set of d orbital, and dz square and dx square minus y square makes another set of d orbitals. There is a energy difference between these two sets of d orbitals. under various conditions, like when octahedral structure is there, then they have different energy difference. When tetrahedral structure is there, then they have different energy levels. So the although in non-excited state the d orbitals are of same energy level, that means dxy, dyj, dzx, dx square minus y square and dz square, they all have same energy level, they are degenerate. But when anions or electron pair donors they approach the d orbital of central metal ion, at that time the d orbitals do not remain in the same energy level, they split into two parts. To that we will come later on, but as of now let us understand that why the d orbitals or d block elements are also called as transition elements. They are called as transition elements because the electrons in the partially filled d orbital, they can undergo transition from one energy level to the other energy level. So they are also called as transition elements because the electrons in the vacant d orbital can undergo d transition. One, two, three, four, and one vacant. So these electron can transit from one place to the other. This is only possible when there is a vacant or partially filled d orbital. So in d block elements you will find that mostly the valence cells d orbital, that means n-1 d orbital, will be partially filled. This you will see commonly, except in the case of copper, silver and gold. In copper, silver and gold, they have d9 configuration and still they have one unpaired electron. But in case of zinc, cadmium and mercury, like zinc, below that cadmium and mercury, they have n-1 d10 4s2 configuration. So zinc, cadmium and mercury, they do not have vacant d orbital, hence they are called as pseudo transition elements. They are called as pseudo transition elements. Zinc, cadmium and mercury, they belong to group 12. Zinc, cadmium and mercury, they belong to group 12. They have a general configuration of n-1 d10 ns2. For zinc it is argon 4s2 3d10. For cadmium it is krypton 4d10 5s2. For mercury it is xenon 6s2 5d10. So they do not have d orbitals are completely filled in group 12. So they do not undergo transition and hence they are called as pseudo transition elements. Pseudo Now if you can recall the quantum mechanical model of the atom, according to which when electrons they go to higher energy level, they absorb energy, and when they come down to lower energy level, they emit light energy. So in this process you can see some kind of spectra. As a result, most of the d block elements they form colored salt, like say iron, chromium, manganese, copper. You will find that they are colored salt, they give colored salt because there is a provision for the electrons to undergo dd transition. Okay, dd transition means movement of the electron from one d orbital to the other d orbital, okay, in the same valence shell. All right, or d suborbital to d suborbital in the same valence shell. But in case of zinc, cadmium and mercury, since d block is completely filled up, d orbital is completely filled up, so dd transition is not possible. As a result, they form colorless salt. They form colorless salt. They form colorless salt because dd transition is not possible. So now we will summarize whatever we have studied just now so far. First, group 3 to group 12 is D block or are D blocks. Second, we saw that group 12 is called as pseudo transition elements. Then we saw that general electronic configuration is n-1 d 1 to 10 ns 1 to 2. Third, we have seen that from group group 3 to 11 there are partially filled d orbitals. Partially like in case of scandium, argon 3d1 4s2. In case of titanium, argon 3d2 4s2. In case of vanadium, argon 3d 3 4s2 and so on. So these all give partially filled d orbital system. This means there are vacant positions in d orbitals. This is where d transition is possible. Means movement of electron from one d suborbital to another d suborbital. Movement or transition of electrons from one d suborbital to another d sub orbital. Next, due to d transition, group 3 to group 12 elements form colored salts. Why? Due to DD transition. 7. They act as good catalyst. In P block elements, you had seen that we were using a number of D block elements as catalyst, like iron, molybdenum, platinum. We were using them as catalyst. Why? Because since they have vacant D orbital, so there is a chance where chemisorption can take place on the surface of the metals. And on the surface of the metals, if chemisorption takes place, then the metals will act as good surface catalyst. Okay. So there is a relation of surface chemistry again with the P block elements and its interrelation with D block elements. Why do we use D block elements to prepare elements or compounds of P block elements? Because D block elements, they act as good catalyst. Why do they act as good catalyst? Because they have vacant d orbitals. Okay, so why they should act as a good catalyst if they have vacant d orbitals? If they have vacant d orbitals, then the ability of the element to form chemisorption with the reactants will become more. So these are the general properties of D block elements. We will see a little bit more about its variation of melting point, its variation of the metallic strength, its variation of ability to form complex. Okay, so and its variation of atomic size, that we will be seeing. If you see the electronic configuration from scandium to zinc, you will find that D1, D2, D3, D4, D5, up to D5, what is happening? The electrons are singly filled. So when electrons are singly filled, they are paramagnetic, and these electrons in the metallic bond system will be such that they will try to pair up with the adjacent atoms. As a result, the metallic bonding will be strong. But if these electrons get pair up, then they will take part in the metallic bond formation to the lesser extent. So we'll find that there will be an increase in the melting point of the elements till the mid of the block, that means up to chromium, and then again there will be a drop in the melting point value up to manganese, because again pairing of electron will start. So when pairing of electron will start from D6 to D10, then the unpaired electrons will become lesser, and lesser will be the unpaired electrons, lesser will be the extent of or the strength of the metallic bonding. Now if you can imagine how a metallic bonding looks like, it looks like just like sea of electrons in which the positive metallic kernels are embedded. Okay, so the sea of electrons, if they are unpaired, then they will be more prone to form stronger bond with the adjacent kernels. But if they are paired up, they will not take part in bond formation, and they will not take part in metallic bond formation also, and hence, or if they will take part, they will take part due to residual charges after even pairing up of the electron. Even after the electron pairs up, the partial charge or residual charge still remains. Due to that, if there is any metallic bonding, then that metallic bonding will be very weak. Like if you compare iron and if you compare zinc, zinc has completely filled d orbital, so it is so soft that you can cut with a scissor. But if you see iron, then iron has nearly half filled d orbital, nearly half filled d orbital. As a result of which, what is happening, the unpaired electrons, they form strong bond with the adjacent kernels in the metallic bond or metallic crystal. Okay, so if the number of unpaired electrons increase, then the strength of metallic bond increases. If the number of unpaired electron decreases, then the strength of metallic bonding decreases. So this was all about, in a brief manner, about the properties of d block elements and what d block elements are all about. Okay, now we will be discussing specific details about the d block elements. As of now, we have seen the electronic configuration, general electronic configuration, and after that we will be seeing the relative stability, melting point, variation of melting point, variation of electron potential, then a few preparations also, although it is taken out from the reduced syllabus of this year. Still we will be discussing a little bit about that, and then we'll go for f block elements. All right, thank you.